Hey healers, welcome. Drop your city, drop your zodiac sign. We are talking about spiritual safety. This is heaven on earth, holistic healing for hoes. Hey y'all. Holistic healing for hoes. We do holistic healing for hoes because hoes need holistic healing the most. Hoes are the healers of the world, the unofficial healers of the world. And I look at hoes as a army, a spiritual army that keeps so much evil shit at bay and pacified, because honestly, whether you're a professional hoe or a recreational hoe, when you are like, always taming other people's demons, then you're doing spiritual work. You're doing spiritual battle. And that's something to celebrate, that's a big deal. And it's something that needs to be supported too. We don't get enough support. We get abused so much. And when we get abused, everybody thinks it's our fault. They think that we just deserve what we get. And it just further pushes, when we have those experiences, it just further pushes us further to the brink of insanity. And we don't want that, because when you have such a powerful mind and you're such a powerful creative force and manifester, then you want to stay in the moment, and stay present with your body so that you can be co-creating what you want. Hey, what up? Yeah, so it's time to show up. It's time for all healers to show up. I really had to go live with this message right now because it can't wait. There's a huge wave right now of what's going to be like a shift in the adult entertainment industry. So here's a Sacred Stripper adult industry energy forecast. I'm live on Instagram at hoesarehealers and live on YouTube at Sacred Stripper, live on Facebook at Amira Barakat Al Baladi. So link up with me. You can find me on Facebook, the username Peace Princess 1111, and that's also my Cash App if you want to send me any money. So all right, what was I about to say? Time for everybody to show up a little bit more than we maybe have been. We've been preserving our energy and stuff, but things are shifting and changing, and so it's sort of time to operate in the new energy. So that's why I'm going to be showing up with you guys, and I'm actually starting a 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge starting on 8/8. This Lionsgate portal, this energy actually started a while ago, but it's really amping up now, and we got to be really careful to preserve our energy at this time, because with all these evictions going on, shit is about to really start popping off. Shit is getting really, really real. In this, in this simulated reality, they want to argue about every little thing. And what I realized about arguing is that it's actually cruel for people to be debating this and that when their basic needs and safety isn't met. So some of you guys know that recently I testified at the state capitol in Baton Rouge in Louisiana to decriminalize prostitution in the state of Louisiana. And I felt like it was really important for me to do because I came here for that. I got recruited for the spiritual war. If y'all don't know, it's a spiritual war going on, okay? And, many different lands is a battlegrounds, and this is one of them. So I was called here out of the blue. I was good in Detroit, or so I thought. So I came here. I've been through a lot here. Before I even moved here, I have been here a bunch of times. So it's just really interesting because I feel the justice pendulum is swinging to the other side. For everybody who has been balancing these universal energies within themselves, because everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else and be like, you're bad. Like, that makes them feel good for somebody else to be bad, because then they feel like they're good. Like, you know, for example, like, say somebody is like really sad and everybody like says that they're sad. They don't like how depressed they are. Like, that's something that's on their shadow side, because when people consistently tell you they don't like something about you, then you might even start to deny that about yourself, because you want to be a person that people like, because we're human beings. We're biologically wired to like need to be liked, because that's connected to our survival. So obviously, you know, that's going to be relegated to the shadow side. So when it's time for when that person might connect with another sad person, and they're looking at that person like, oh, this sad fuck, bitch, you're a sad fuck too, but you just can't accept that about yourself because nobody else could. So where there could be understanding and acceptance, there's instead projection and rejection. And you know, that's where a lot of the spiritual safety comes in right now, because with sex workers, I have to deliver this message right now. I've been called to deliver this message for sex workers and even recreational hoes and people who might, you know, like some people, they're not sex workers, they have never been a hoe, or would be considering themselves a hoe or whore or whatever, slut, but they would maybe unconsciously like just do risky behaviors, you know, unconsciously like do something risky. And even seasoned bitches might unconsciously do something risky. So, you know, you can't, you know, don't beat yourself up. It's not always easy. It's not always perfect. A lot of people that present a perfect image, they struggle too. They go through stuff behind the scenes too. They're just not going to talk about it, and they don't have to. Like, everybody doesn't have to say what they do or what's happened and stuff. But for some people like me, it helps me to talk about it, and it's therapeutic for me and it's therapeutic for others. That's why I'm a spiritual guide, and I train other spiritual guides to do this too. That's why I'm a shadow work expert, you guys. Like, nobody does shadow work like I do shadow work. I do rapid shadow integration, and that shit has me level up so fast. Because I'm Arab, we really like believe in the evil eye. So sometimes it's hard for me to come on here and brag about myself like the way that I see other people doing. Other times I go completely check out into my shadow side, because it isn't like I'm saying, I'm Arab. Evil eye is real. But what happens with a lot of Arabs, with the evil eye, is that we put it on ourselves and others. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, like, if you've ever been harmed by the evil eye of an Arab hoe, you may be entitled to compensation if you call 1-800-EVIL-EYE, because that shit is really real. And anybody knows that, because that shit is really real from your actual aunties. Like, you know, we grow up knowing that we need to protect ourselves and be protected from evil eye. And the thing that a lot of people don't ever talk about is that the number one person we need to protect ourselves from the evil eye from is ourselves. Because the evil eye starts within you and your eye. And so it comes from jealousy and feeling like somebody else can have something that you want that you can't have, which is total BS. Because if you want it, you can have it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know to even want it. It wouldn't even be in your vibrational reality. The fact that you even want it shows that there's like a parallel universe where it's not only possible, but it's happening right now. So it's kind of like, come on, come out of the hypnosis, and it's really mind hacking. What we're doing is mind hacking, but what's really important to me is to teach you guys how to do it for yourself versus me actually doing it for you, because, you know, it's a very personal journey, and you shouldn't have to rely on anybody else but yourself. But you shouldn't have to do it alone either, you know. And I have techniques that really work. So I'm about to go into this 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge, and this is one of my techniques that really works. And I'm talking about spiritual safety because, you know, there's such a thing as like self-defense, right? Like fighting back, like knowing like how to like jab somebody in the throat or knee them in the groin, or just like, you know, hit them in the kidney, like hit them in a place where it's gonna hurt. I mean, you know, ideally your instincts will just take over, and, you know, you'll just know what to do. You might black out, but you know that you're going to get out safely. We got to be like, that's why we got to be, you know, in touch with our instincts. And honestly, sometimes our instincts will have us play dead too. this is where nervous system healing comes in. And what's indicated for a lot of sex workers is basically that maybe like the work that you do or the way that you do it is dangerous. So you have to make a change so your nervous system can heal. And you are in a safe environment, in a safe like time period, frame of mind, phase of your life, financial situation where you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You really need to hear that affirmed to you. You don't need to do anything you don't want to do. I feel like I should make like an affirmation YouTube video where I just repeat 100 times, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And I feel like that's really important for me to say to you guys, because like I know that a lot of people that know me like look at me as a strong person, but I've also experienced like a lot of violence in the industry, and you know I've been susceptible to like brainwashing, like literally like okay, so I'm gonna just give you guys a little bit of backstory, because like one of the reasons why I do spiritual support for sex workers and what really got reaffirmed to me like over the past year, especially in the past couple years, is just that the need for that, because nobody is looking out for our spiritual safety. Like we are so vulnerable, and so many people just want to take from us and exploit us and use us because we have so much energy, and it's such good energy. It's pure creative energy, and we pour into things. And there's a lot of people that just don't know any better than to use us. But then there's a lot of people that all they know is getting used, so that's all that they can see. So people are walking around not even seeing each other. And self-awareness, critical self-awareness, and the ability to like truly like have nervous system co-regulation with other people and be in conversation and community with other people who can hold you accountable by reflecting you to you, instead of you just reflecting your self-hate in them. Like I don't want you to use me as a mirror to see your self-hate. I don't want you to see the worst parts of yourself in me and then think that I'm to blame. You know, I honestly, you guys, like those worst parts of you are the things that you think are the worst things about you. They're not so bad. And that's what I'm trying to get at. And what I have had to really realize through this past year of doing this work, this intensive work, teaching students, you know, because past couple years, I've taught over 60 students Reiki energy healing. And I didn't just turn them and burn them like with over a weekend class. This was intensive. That's why I call it Reiki mothering. It's not Reiki master, it's Reiki mother. I don't have kids. I just have spiritual children. But Spirit just told me not to say I don't have kids because I'm like meant to have lots of kids. And it's just so interesting because I've been called to move my work and my practice more towards fertility support and fertility awareness for a while now. I'm a certified doula, but I've never assisted on a birth except for being there when my friend's baby was came home from the hospital and taking care of her and helping out. And you know, that was a wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I've only time other that I have really been around really small children and really like helped out and pitched in, you know, when they were born, was when I was a baby, like when I was a kid myself and my siblings were born. And you know what is happening right now within society, these different power dynamics are breaking down completely, and the power dynamics of society are visible in all relationships, even like brother and sister relationships. And all human beings we're all brothers and sisters and siblings. We all like, the world would be a better place if we looked at one another that way, but even within our own families, we don't even look at one another that way. There's animosity, there's like, you know, family feuds and separations, you know, and it's like, depending on, you know, how your family is and what type of family you come from, like, you know, people have different ways of dealing with conflict. So I think it's like a little bit unfair and exploitative to try to engage people in an obsession with global politics and the ways that things are playing out globally, when we're like totally distracted from the interpersonal issues, you know, and everybody's just like so concerned with how they're going to make money and how they're going to survive. Even people that like should really have no concern for that, you know, and it puts them in scarcity consciousness and it keeps them from being generous with one another. Like, I really want to understand the philosophy of a person who hoards wealth, because coming from indigenous femme, Palestinian, Arab, you know, woman of color perspective, queer woman of color perspective of sharing resources and being more so like Robin Hood as a sex worker and siphoning resources from like one community into another community, which is my community, which I claim hard. And it's like, it really, you know, it really doesn't help to get into like lateral attacks and semantics, because at the end of the day, like, I'm doing what I can do with this colonizer's language, and I'm gonna love every minute that I spend using the English language to undermine everything about this genocidal maniac culture. Because I'm pro peace, I'm Palestinian peace princess. I know who my ancestors are. I know where I come from. I don't have cultural amnesia. I didn't forget. I know who, what, when, and where. And nobody had to tell me that, because I tapped in. And that's what is important for me to share, is that you can do that, you know, and it's an everyday thing, and it takes relationships. It takes building a shared version of reality with other people. It takes letting go of the false version of reality that has been superimposed on your reality, because what ultimately, we create our reality from the inside of our third eye. What are we going to do when that third eye is blocked? And you know, what I recommend for the first step of your spiritual cleansing, and, you know, when you want to bring more spiritual safety into your life, especially as a sex worker, the first thing you want to do is cleanse your third eye, and cleanse your pineal gland by stopping fluoride consumption. So one of the things about the vaccine, a lot of people have different arguments and stuff about it, but the reason why I don't fuck with vaccines is because they have a lot of heavy metals in them. And with the heavy metals, what they do is they stick straight to your brain and they block your pineal gland. And so that's part of the function of this. So whether you're, you know, whatever your stance on it as far as like public health, I'm not arguing about that. That's not my zone of expertise, but what my zone of expertise is the pineal gland, third eye, intuitive healing, and healing the body from like electromagnetic stress and geopathic stress. So, you know, it all depends what what you feel to do, that you want to do. Yeah, dude, honestly, I felt it all through there since I've gotten the shot. Yeah, and I didn't get the vaccine, but I have been around a lot of people who did, and it has, I can feel the rapid shedding effects of it. I'm an energy healer. A lot of people really do not understand the way that things feel for me and how much information I can get off of people, especially people that I've had sex with. And like, that's why that's another part of spiritual safety. That's why I cleanse so much, and I use Reiki. I use Reiki healing. I was talking about this yesterday. I use Reiki. I cleanse myself. I put my, aura protection. I do cleansing baths before and after. Like, whether I'm working as an escort or, like hooking up with somebody, I'm still going to cleanse myself. Whether I'm working as an escort or I'm doing a tarot card reading for somebody, I'm still going to cleanse myself. And spiritual work is real work. Sex work is real work. It's a skill. So what I'm excited about is like putting more of my time, attention, and effort into supporting sex workers as a spiritual guide, because we need that. I remember I was like deciding to go back and dance a couple years ago, And one of my favorite students and clients was like, okay, be careful, because I was going on a strip trip. And it's so funny because I was going on a strip trip to Florida, and then everybody, the movie Zola came out, and everybody knows about that Twitter thread. If you don't, then you wasn't on Twitter back in the day. But now everybody, the movie came out, and it's like so funny because that shit is just so real. And it's just so stupid how much shit that you can really get in within this lifestyle, because it's like people are like trying to exploit you left and right. It's just fucking crazy. And you just really have to be like, so, you have to be so much on your game. And I want people to know that as people are getting into the industry. And then I also want people to know that some of this shit is really about to hit the fan with the clients' energies. And some of y'all have already been noticing that a lot of clients have really been on one, because like some of them are using sex workers to deal with their problems. And if they're having financial problems, they might still be addicted to sex workers or addicted to sex. So they might still spend on it, but then not really have the money to spend on it. And then like either try to like rob you or go psycho. So, I think it's just really important to set your boundaries and stick to them, and just have a protocol, and don't let people bypass those boundaries, because when they do, then that's how they get you. And for a lot of us, especially if you experience childhood sexual abuse, like you might have certain triggers that could trigger you into a different state of mind. It's not just about getting drugged. So a lot of my sex workers that I work with are underworld goddesses, and this with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, it's really important for us to like get out of delusion and self-deception, and just really make our journey through the underworld and get through it, because that's what those energies respect. They respect being able to handle them and match them. And the only thing holding you back from that is like repression of your demon side, your shadow side, your evil side, your Lilith side, basically. I cut them off when I know they are having money troubles. That's a firm boundary for me now. Not cut them off completely, but I won't let them buy. Yeah, so you're saying that when a client is having money problems, you cut them off. Yeah, and it's like, exactly. Like you don't want to. That it's like somebody with money, they're not going to go crazy over like feeling like they got ripped off. Like they might just be like, oh, haha, because they just assume that because you're a sex worker, you're just going to rip them off or try to rip them off, or whatever. But like somebody that's broke is like might go crazy, might go psycho. You don't ever know. And then they're just doing a lot more extra stuff. They're like a lot of stalking, a lot of like just wanting to know where you live, and like stuff like that. And it's like that type of stuff is it can be pretty scary, and it's scary too, because like I don't know, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's like that's why we really have to come out of self-deception and delusion ourselves, so that we're not matching that energy, and that like people, and then we also have to shore up our protection wards and build up our protections around us physically and spiritually, so that that people can't get to us. But like what keeps coming up for a lot of sex workers too is just the need to pull your energy back from anybody that's trying to exploit it. A lot of my clients, like honestly, like they're cool. They're fine as hell. They're awesome. Like they're great people. I fucks with them. I fucks with them. I like fucking with them. And what I found is that anytime it's like, if it's somebody that I don't really feel that way about, like, I don't know. I don't really want to do it, So I'm a big fan of breaking down the dichotomy between sex worker and just like someone who loves sex. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if you're single and you're not married, why shouldn't you have sex and why shouldn't you enjoy it? As long as you're talking with your partners about what type of protections that you want to use, both spiritual, emotional, and physical, you know, and just what type of things that you need from each other. Because I think one of the things that people don't do enough in relationships is like they don't talk about the relationship. Like people will talk about everything but that relationship between them and that other person. You know, people will like be quick to complain about their scenarios or, you know, want to vent about this and that. But then when it comes to like, hey, how do you feel about like how are we doing? You know, how are we? And like, you know, that's important to hear. That type of stuff is important to hear. That's why I honestly like running this business and providing spiritual support to sex workers has been such a huge benefit for my self-esteem, because I get to show up and have those reciprocal relationships with people who can really understand me and understand some of the stuff that I go through. Because people that are not sex workers, you know, if I it's like one of the reasons. Okay, so people that aren't sex workers, they're not going to understand a lot of the stuff that we go through. And it's like, instead of me keeping it to myself, even other sex workers, you know, are still going to be like, bitch, you should have known that was going to happen. You know, or like, that was stupid. You know, even people that care about you, like, are still going to be like, bitch, that was stupid. And, you know, that can be really hard, but also like a lot of times the people closest to us don't even really have capacity to hold space for us. And then also it sort of takes time for some of us to accept ourselves enough to accept real loving relationships into our lives. Then on top of all of that, there's also the issue of I don't want to burden my friends and my loved ones with what I go through. But at the same time, I also want authentic relationships with them. And I don't want to just assume like they can't handle what I go through. So that's one of the reasons why the Heaven on Earth app helps so much, because I could go in there and be like, you know what, even though I feel really ashamed, I feel really embarrassed, I feel really stupid about this just dumbass shit that I just did. And it was like so like confusing, because it's definitely something that I've done before on webcam and like gotten scammed. And I've been a sex worker for 10 years. I have so much experience with webcam. I should know way better, but it almost felt like the guy was like somehow triggered something with me, hypnotized me. I was in a really bad place mentally when he did it. And, you know, it just made me think that like, you know, like we're just so unprotected. We're just so unprotected. And for me, there's choices like these paths are narrow, and there's choices that had to be made. And it's been hard for me to give up my identity as a sex worker, especially because I felt like I just got to a place of being able to accept myself. And I went and testified in front of, you know, the state capitol and everybody. And I said, like, this is my experience. I got raped as a sex worker. I was doing legal sex work, dancing, and I left the strip club with the client, and then he raped me. So I was going with him. Even if it was a date rape and I was just on a date with him, I still would not be protected, because like we live in a rape culture. We're conditioned for sexual abuse since childhood. Everybody is. And, you know, everybody's grasping for power. So for a lot of people, they want it to be a men versus women thing. But, you know, that really doesn't leave space for men to heal from the sexual abuse that they have experienced, and for us to prevent sexual abuse against men and boys, because people don't want to talk about the fact that women are abusers too. And people of all genders can be abusers. So we don't need to have it be like, you know, a binary consciousness thing. Like we just definitely just need it to be addressed, and we need a consistent focus on it. For me, part of my soul mission is to end all forms of violence, especially sexual violence, and personal sexual autonomy and freedom is my birthright, and that is what I came here to advance. So it took me a long time to come out publicly and say like that I worked in the adult industry and that I had these different jobs, even though it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's a legitimate career, but there's so much shame and stigma, especially within my culture as a Muslim Arab person, that it's like hard for me to even vocalize the words. I have to vocalize the words. That stirs up energy and that frees up more space. And I want to support other sex workers and other bad bitches and cool people who have this beautiful energy to swirl around the earth, but it's constantly getting squashed out, or they're constantly using it for everybody else but themselves. That's me. That's my story. I don't resonate with someone who, like, I don't resonate with somebody who depletes their energy for other people anymore. And that's not something I'm willing to do. So a lot of my relationships changed when that changed. But look at this glow. Look at this glow. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. You can't buy it. When you stop doing things that you don't want to do, then everything changes. You will not be a victim anymore because you won't victimize yourself. I'm telling y'all, I'm going to start telling you my story now. 40 days and 40 nights is a significant time period because it is a portal of transformation. And that's a time that can cleanse a lot of things. That's why we have the story of Noah's Ark reigning for 40 days and 40 nights. And he built the ark, even though people said that that was stupid and that was crazy and didn't understand why and tried to come for him and persecute him. He still did it. He stayed diligent about his work. If you build it, they will come. He kept going. He kept doing, even with no support, even with impossible tasks like gathering two each of every animal and insect. Like, what an impossible task. All these impossible tasks that we are asked to achieve, that like whatever they are that feel impossible to us, but we know that this is the way, and there's no going around it. There's only going through it. So for me, this is why it's important for me to teach you are your spiritual guide first and foremost. I like to take spirit walks. And I just let spirit guide me. I let my body just walk wherever my body is going to walk. Okay, so right now, one of the things that's happening right now, my legs are shaking. This is the ADD thing, ADHD. My legs are shaking. That's a release. That's a psoas muscle release. And that's a release and a clearing for the sacral chakra and the root chakra. The chakras that are about family health, your place in community, and your sexual experiences and your early childhood experiences. Okay, and your comfort in your body. So whenever you start to shake, just let yourself shake. That's why I teach my Reiki students about stimming, which stimming comes from the autistic community. Stimming means when you say like this, or you shake, or you just get up and spontaneously dance, whatever you do, like you might just start bust out like, beatboxing or whatever. Like that's called stimming, self-stimulation. A lot of creative, gifted people and ADD, ADHD people do that because it's a way for you to move energy through your body. It's like the easiest form of energy healing, and it's the most natural because those come natural to you. So a lot of times these movements has been repressed in childhood where people told you not to do that. So you still might have a lot of that energy that's ready to course through your body, and you should let it when it comes through because you're grown now and no one can tell you shit. So that part. So just let it do what it do, let your body do what it do. And what I'm going to tell you guys, this story is so fucking epic. I discovered my spiritual gifts working in the adult entertainment industry. First as a stripper, being a stripper, that's when I really went to the underworld. And then I got saved and I got brought into heaven through sensual massage. And I probably would have died if I stayed at the strip club, to be honest, because the way I was living was so fucking wild. I would walk in every day. Some guy would hand me a bag of coke. I was on one. I was on one. I was on demon time. And I wasn't there. And I had experienced a lot of sexual assault because that's what happens when you're checked out. You're not there. You're not able to protect yourself. And what happens with a lot of sex workers in that state is like we're totally like out of our bodies. So the root chakra and the sacral chakra is not engaged. It's funny because I'd be on the internet and bitches are fucking with me, but probably if I worked at your club, you probably wouldn't fuck with me because you would be like that bitch seems psycho or she's weird or whatever. Cause like it's a lot of energies going through me and like, I don't know what to say, but I like to be in my house because like it just feels comfortable. And at this point in my life, like the journey that I've gone through, I'm really ready to embrace being a spiritual guide for sex workers. And I can't support you guys if I'm out here in the mix. Like if I'm dancing at your club, then you'd be sick of seeing my fucking face. You won't want to hear my fucking bullshit. You see me like, doing something that, see me doing something you might judge me for in the club or whatever, and you'd be like, that bitch ain't shit. And I don't need that type of publicity. Thank you though. Yeah, like, all right, so I don't like, it's like some of us, we don't necessarily like, we didn't choose this life to show up and be public figures and stuff, but it just came to us because this is what the people need, and it just comes naturally to you. You just gotta do it. Just show up because you the shit, and you need to be seen, and you need to be shown, and only when you're ready to do those things. I love to be me unapologetically because, like, what else am I gonna do with my life? I might as well just die if not. Like, and yeah. So if I apologize for being me, people would treat me like I ain't shit. And I honestly like, but I'm quick to apologize if I actually did something. Like, if I actually look, I swear to God, don't even worry. Like, I'm a Capricorn moon. I get held accountable for my shit. Like, I get held accountable for my shit. And I'm actually like, it's like, I'm as a Gemini, like, it's like I have a gift for conversations, including hard conversations. But with some of the hard conversations, they're like very complicated because people aren't speaking the same language and they're not using the same frame of reference. So it's much more important to me to feel through the energy. And that's why I've really taken my time. I haven't been going live. I haven't been talking about stuff or sharing about stuff because I've been taking my time to let everything gel, Yes. And y'all need to understand about what's about to pop off. Okay. This is really like heaven is coming to earth. Okay. Heaven is on earth. What we do in the club is what we do in the club. Period. That's also healing work. I'm coming to throw some ass with you for Halloween. I can't wait because I'm not making any announcements right now because I just feel like, I don't know, like, I gotta wait. I gotta wait. But yeah, everybody just prepare to come this way towards October. We're gonna solidify the dates. Because yes, we are embracing our shadow sides, and that includes like our slutty selves. It's really cool because one of the things that has come up a lot is like people have a need to feel more comfortable with their own sexual energy. And so for a lot of us really sexual beings that just have that like scorpionic plutonic energy that just makes people feel something, they get turned on, but they don't know why. They don't understand it. They can only reconcile it sexually. They can't really like understand that this is creativity. And so they always think that it's like sexual. But then what happens is they might not understand it. And so like what happens with me is a lot of times people project onto me that I'm trying to have sex with them or that I would like to have sex with them when I wouldn't. I wasn't thinking about that. But they was thinking that, and they was like looking at me like that. but also like I might just be down for whatever. Like for me, like to just like twerk naked with a bunch of baddies is like a regular day because because I've been a stripper. You know, that's a regular day. So that's not the same for everybody that hasn't been like, you know, that hasn't been like doing that, like, and hasn't been using their body in that way. And I really did get out of touch with my body for the past few years. You guys, if you guys used to follow me, I used to post a lot of dancing videos, and even back then I was not dancing that much, not like how I used to, because I used to dance as a stripper, and I danced every day, every night. um but I, you know, I had took a couple years where I really like I focused up more so on my spirit than my body, and it's not like they're detached or anything, but it was just so sort of overwhelming for me to be physically like really in my body the way that I was before, where I was also doing that spiritual work. So what happened was, yes, indeed, we will. We definitely will. Um, so I'm a, like I stay on my ass and hold me accountable because I'm in my bag this week, and I'm just really embracing my role as an organizer for us, because I'm I'm here. I'm getting to do this, and it's very exciting. I definitely like try. I've been this is what I've been working on for years, and so it's really interesting because um, my energy is more so to get things started. Sometimes it's hard for me to sustain things, but there's literally so many of us that are like, okay, we're sustaining this. Like we're here. We've been doing this. We're ready. Let's go. What's the next step? And it's like, you know, while it was very scary to testify, and you know the speaking that I've been doing and putting myself out there and, you know, advocating for us, it's been like physically scary, feeling physically threatening for me, activating my anxiety and my nervous system, bringing me through a portal that gives me like more physical safety than I ever felt before in my life, that was never here before. And this is generational healing. This is generational wealth. This is creating a climate of justice for the next generations, you know, and we stay committed to our values. It's a lot of double speak, and it's a lot of people that use spiritual, psychological, social justice tactics to still like evade accountability and assert control. And you know, nobody's immune to that either. So everybody might like do something hurtful, um, you know, at any given time, and hurt people. So I don't think that it's fair to ostracize people over a lot of the stuff that, you know, if they're imperfections and stuff, and just like not understanding certain things or whatever. But it's just important to keep boundaries and like, you know, have limits. And consistently we're just consistently increasing our capacity because we're dealing with a lot of trauma. We're dealing with a lot of trauma in our communities, and like the first and easiest thing for people to do is turn in on one another, you know, and fight one another when like, you know, we could be supporting each other, or do flight where you run away, you know, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, you know, whatever, any of those things. Like what's been going on for me is I've been pretty much like cycling through fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fawn, not so much, but sometimes, but that does feel therapeutic. Like it's really weird. It does feel therapeutic sometimes. But you know, fight, flight, freeze, especially freeze has been a big one. So, you know, in those moments, you know, I've just been gentle with myself, just felt the chemicals moving through me, felt the energy moving through me. And just know, like, you know, we're getting somewhere with this. We're getting somewhere with this. And we're bringing such an increased amount of safety and comfort to us. Because what's happening right now with sex work, from the pandemic, there was a huge wave of people who left the industry because they were done with the industry, or they started a different business, or started a different job. So then there was also a huge wave of people who entered the industry because they didn't have their other job or whatever, and they needed another income. So they might have started an OnlyFans. That was a big thing because people were quarantined. And then they didn't want to be like face to face with people. But a lot of people were still doing escorting, hoeing, and being face to face with people. A lot of the strip clubs were closed, so strippers mostly went to OnlyFans and started different businesses. And a need for sugar daddies had emerged more so than ever. Which is, I have been predicting this for years, is that like one of the things that our industry is going more so towards, which you can see from the popularity of all the different hypergamy accounts that are talking about being a dating for generational wealth, basically, dating wealthy men. It's like there's a fine line between sex work and marriage, and then there's a fine line between like prostituting yourself and capitalism. So it's like prostituting yourself, selling your body or whatever is supposed to have such a negative connotation because it's sexual and sex is seen as dirty and a sin. But exploiting your labor in all these different other kind of ways is just seen as normal. And there really is no freedom of choice in capitalism when it comes to sex work unless you are independently wealthy or you have you're financially stable on your own without sex work. So that's why some people say all sex work is survival sex work, which I don't agree with necessarily, because I feel like a lot of people try to lump themselves in as survival sex workers when, bitch, no, you're not. But there is that gray area because you could look like $1 million and still be homeless, and that's the reality that we deal with. And it has to do with self-esteem and self-confidence and the ability to let other people support you too, because a lot of bitches would give somebody else their last to help them and get evicted in the process or some shit like that, and it's like, we don't always know how to save ourselves, so that's not good. That's not good. We want to put ourselves first. And I mean, I talk to sex workers all the time who have been susceptible to pimping, and it's not like the type of pimping that people would think of, just basically like they're on the streets and they're getting beat if they don't make their quota and stuff like that. But it is like a lot of mental manipulation, and that's a factor right now where, it's like more so even than physical violence right now, we're more so vulnerable to spiritual violence and mental abuse. So it's very important to get our minds intact. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this 8-8 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge, because it's time to program our realities, program our minds, program our consciousnesses with what we want so that we're not affected by some of these more predatory energies that are seeking energy they're seeking to be energy vampires for people like us who have a great deal of energy, and like pure, innocent, creative energy. We want to use it for ourselves and for our own projects, our own families, our own loved ones, our own homes, our own bodies, our physical selves and our image, our clothes, how we look, everything about us is really special. And it's time for us to fully fill up our energy with fill up everything of ours with our own energy and our own essence, and that comes from that's the Kundalini, that comes from the root chakra, the sacral chakra. That's that sacred fire and that sacred intertwined snake that rises up you. We have these different pathways of energy through our whole body. These are like documented systems. This is science. We have the energy pathways in our bodies that energy flows through. And especially in our pelvis, it's like basically the freeways where all the freeways meet, because it's a portal where a lot of energy can just be dumped through there. But we're a lot of us are dealing with energy blockages in this area, and it leads to fibroids, cysts, pelvic pain, urinary incontinence, IBS, Crohn's disease, endometriosis. I see all these different conditions, infertility, and PCOS. So energy healing works and it helps. And I recommend getting started with this 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge to ease yourself into it. So I'm easing myself into it too, because I'm using this time to shift into my new energy of life. And this has really been building. I think this is the Uranus and Taurus energy, because let me see when Uranus moved from Aries to Taurus. Because Uranus is a planet of change and transformation. And it takes a while. Okay, Uranus first entered Taurus in 2018 and won't complete his journey in the sign until 2026. Yeah. Because 2018 was when I taught my first Reiki class to sex workers. So, and he's going to stay in the sign until 2026. So that's 5 years from now. I've never really been a long-term planner. And that's a function of like survival mode and scarcity consciousness. It's a function of my lineage, like being refugees and migrants. And like not really like planning ahead like that. Or at least not teaching me to plan ahead. Like, oh, you'll be fine. She'll be fine. All right, I'm not gonna complain about them. Baddies all day, every day though. I hear no lies. Yes, y'all. Talk about it. It's hard without support systems. Right. We do so much with so little. And that's a trauma response for a lot of us, because it's like if we aren't doing everything for everybody, we don't feel useful. We don't feel alive. We don't feel like we have a right to be alive. That's not a good feeling, So Uranus and Taurus shows us what life changes to expect. So before that, that would have been Uranus and Aries. So when did Uranus and Aries start? Let me see that. Okay, because Uranus in Aries. When did Uranus enter Aries? Why doesn't it say the date? Let me see here. It was March 11th until May 15th, 2018. Yeah, so that was a significant time period for me. That May 15th, 2018 is when Uranus went into Taurus, and Uranus moved into in 2010. Uranus. Okay, I'm trying to see. This is like so unclear. Uranus in Aries was from 2011 to 2018. So interesting. 2011 to 2018. Yeah, because 2011, the end of 2011 was when I did my first detox. And I did a spiritual detox. I did a 22-day detox. I ate a cleansing diet, and I went for a walk in nature and meditated every day. And I didn't work. I just basically chilled out, rested, relaxed, did a little stretching. I didn't work out. And I read the Quran. And after that, all hell broke loose. So that's really interesting, because it was from 2011 to 2018. That was also, my Saturn's return was also happening around that time too. And my Saturn's return, like the way that the placements moved and everything for me, it almost felt like my Saturn's return was like twice as long as it should have been. And Saturn's return is basically, some of you guys astro bays, you know what that is. Saturn gets you together. Okay, we got a Leo in Louisville, Orlando. Yeah, so I mean, that's why we do what we do. We increase our capacity to do this stuff. And astrology helps to understand, because Aries is the self and like personal power. And then Taurus is basically like creature comforts, like, enjoying your life. Gemini is connecting with other people. Cancer is like, more deeply connecting with other people. And then Leo is like bitch, I'm the shit. And it's a reason why Cancer deeply connecting with other people comes before Leo, because yeah, Gemini, you're gonna slightly connect with them, but Cancer, you're gonna go deep with them. And that's what enables you to have that Leo energy of feeling like you're important and you don't need a reason to, like, you the shit and you don't need a reason, you know? And that's really important for us to have, especially those of us that are like ostracized from our communities, ostracized from our families, looked down upon, you know, in any kind of way. You deserve a safe place. That's part of building spiritual safety. We create reality together. Okay, so if I'm finally going to get into the story, okay? I'm finally going to get into the story. How long have I even been live for? 55 minutes and 5 seconds. I love that. All right, you guys. So let me go back to this page. Okay, so in 2014, I was really in my bag as a sex worker. While I still struggle with up and down finances, I had a lot of confidence that I could easily just, no matter what, I always knew that I could just come up on at least a quick stack. And I felt like, you know, I will always be able to put myself on with that. Which for a lot of people, that's like not a lot of money at all. But for me, it was. And that's just, you know, that's just how I grew up. Like when I first started doing sex work and I was like getting $100 bills and like, you know, I would put them in my dresser drawer, and it was just a really good feeling for me because I had never really felt that financial security before. And the fact that I could do it with my own body and I didn't need nobody's permission, you know, and it was just something that I could do to take care of myself. It really meant a lot to me. And it was very freeing, and especially because I have been working so hard at my passions. I have been a community organizer. I have been a youth leader, working, you know, I went to college. Okay, I graduated and provided like community-based organizing support, doing an after-school program with high school kids, and doing community media organizing and organizing a conference in Detroit. I got all this experience. I had no support. I had no support system, but I was providing so much support to so many people, and I got so burnt out and I wasn't getting paid enough. And sex work saved my life. I do feel like a sense of being indebted, you know, so I'm clearing whatever contracts, because a lot of times what'll happen is we'll make contracts with certain entities, or we may have non-consensually been entered into contracts with those entities. And then, you know, when it's time for us to move on and make changes, we're still bound by those contracts. So we're going to clear those contracts. Actually, so somebody taught me how to clear contracts for the low price of $88 per session. I have this need to offer some inexpensive sessions right now, you guys. So because some of y'all know that like, a lot of my sessions are very pricey, depending on like everybody's definition of that is different. Okay, so because I'm like one of the things that I feel like is really important for spiritual entrepreneurs and people who sell spiritual services to know is that everybody ain't broke, and you don't have to make everything accessible for everybody. But when Spirit calls you to do something, you should also do it. And Spirit is really calling me to offer some inexpensive stuff right now. So I'm offering a $55 mini consultation, mini check-in that's 30 minutes, and it's just basically like a rapid, quick, like get you some answers about something that you're needing support with, whether it's your branding, how to show up, how to balance personal and professional life, you know, things that you need to know as a sex worker, things that you just want to talk about that you have on your mind. And it's just a really quick session, and it's also a chance for us to get to know each other too, or check in if we already do know each other. Because one of the things that I want to do is first of all, we have a lot, like there's a lot of stuff that I want to do with us within Heaven on Earth and the Mothership and our leadership group there at Heaven on Earth Reiki. There's a lot of stuff coming. So just stay patient, stay tuned for that, because it's coming, and put your intentions out there into the ether so that I can incorporate them into what I'm working on over here, you know, because the time to plug in is very soon. But then also with that is I want to, so since there's going to be like a lot of the work that I've been doing as far as providing spiritual support to our community, like there's space opening up for so many people, so many more people to do it. So my role is changing, and I'm going to be supporting people more so one-on-one, less so in a group environment. And I really want to support people that way, because like I've done one-on-one coaching, just one session here, one session there with people, and I see the results and the things that happen. But then what I see, like sometimes I feel like, they might get kind of lost or go astray after a little while. And I really see and understand why people do coaching packages and why they want to commit to like a long-term relationship with that, because it's more effective and it works better. And then it's really interesting because I'm so used to this fast money lifestyle with doing sex work and like coming up on money. But the relationship between client and practitioner, where I have clients, they're supporting my livelihood, I'm supporting their livelihood, we're exchanging something of equal value to one another, and it's not sexual, like it's creative, the energy is there, but it's not, there's nothing exploitative about it. And there doesn't necessarily have to be something exploitative about sexual services either. Okay, I don't know why I said it like that. But sometimes you just really want to go to work and just not be responsible for anybody's sexual pleasure. Especially when you've worked as a sex worker for a long time. Sometimes I just don't want to touch anybody's dick. And again, too, like my life is changing. I want to get into a relationship. Like, I don't want to have some of the same problems that I've had in relationships because of being a sex worker, that I've had before. And like, some of those things are, it's tricky, it's messy, because some of those things are other people's whorephobia and internalized beliefs. And some of those things that made those relationships have issues in them were my own internalized beliefs and internalized whorephobia, lack of self-confidence or lack of self-acceptance. But there's also things like doing reckless shit and not sticking to decided upon boundaries, and just pushing boundaries, and like going into a whole nother like personality where I'm like wahaha, like I'm my evil twin now, so I'm not responsible for what she did. And really bringing this shadow side into this space of spiritual healing, and talking about these things with one another, because we got to be honest about who we are, and that's important, and you're on purpose, like you're supposed to be that way. So what happened in 2014 was I was successfully working, making all the money that I needed, as a sex worker, and I felt like I really needed to get into a relationship. That was one thing that was really missing from me, and it was one particular person that I had identified that I wanted to be with. So I made that shit happen. And I realized within the course of that relationship that I overly valued my ability to financially contribute to my relationships and my partnerships. And I had experienced, a previous relationship where it was like abusive, and I was working, making the money, and it's like I was experiencing physical abuse and financial abuse, and it wasn't like I couldn't leave, but I just I'm not gonna justify it. I just didn't, I was there, I was getting abused, and we're so vulnerable as sex workers. I was new as a sex worker. I had experienced all this crazy shit. I didn't have support. It wasn't like now where you can get a mentor. Like, no, bitch, you had to figure that shit out. And my mentor was my abusive ex-girlfriend. So, she put me on game. She supported me and took care of me and held me down. And then she also, if I didn't do what she wanted me to do, she also might whoop my ass. And I never like fought before that, that wasn't, so it was just like, a really hard time in life. And what I have to acknowledge is that there was that my shadow side was like coming up to be acknowledged, and that these self-harming behaviors, because before I was in relationships, I started self-harming by cutting myself. Okay, wow. It just went really deep. I just didn't even know I was going to go there. But I think some of us use our relationships, we use toxic relationships as a self-harming technique. So we have to be conscious of that, and like not let ourselves use other people in that way. That's not healthy. It's not right. It's not good for us. But acknowledging that you do what you got to do to survive, and good for you. I'm proud of you. You did that shit. So now we can thrive, right? Now we can thrive. And it comes from releasing that energy that's stuck in you. Y'all should have seen, oh my God, like, first of all, you can use orgasmic energy to like really powerfully clear your womb and, your chakras. Whew. And one of the things I'm doing now is I'm filling myself with energy through this conversation. I'm filling myself with energy. I'm not only filling the airwaves of the internet with this energy, but it's first going through me first. And it's filling up all the spaces where I have purged. What I was doing with my orgasm earlier was I was purging like extra and energies and entities that I've taken on through my experiences of sex work, which date back to childhood. Because I was doing sex work before I could consent to sex work. So it hits a little different for me. And I'm not going to be ashamed of my internalized whorephobia anymore, because it's like that's a word that people use to describe attitudes that people have about sex workers as being like dirty and bad people, and basically just, that anybody that is sexual or expresses sexual energy, period, not just sex workers. But like, I've had all types of different experiences in my life that have been less than pleasant, based around my like my sluttiness status. And I'm just now starting to learn how to really like protect myself, find a space where I can really be myself and like accept myself like that, and let other people accept me and let other people love me, and like be sexually satisfied and sexually free, and know that I can have it all. Muslim women can have it all. Arab women can have it all. Hoes can have it all. Strippers can have it all. Porn stars can have it all. Escorts can have it all. Mejnunis can have it all. Sharmutas can have it all. Whores can have it all. Sluts can have it all. Bitches can have it all. We deserve it all. We're coming for everything that has been denied to us. We are stepping on their necks and not taking no for an answer. And you got to get what you came here for, babes. So that's what I'm doing. What happened in 2014 was I got into a relationship, and what came up for me was that I felt guilty having orgasms with my clients doing sensual massage, because while I was doing these, because I'm a straight up succubus, and I was not having sex with these clients, you guys. I was doing sensual massage. This is sensual massage, body slide, body rub, Nuru, like massage, like a really good massage. I'm not giving no more details than that. But I would still have an orgasm, and it was like a spiritual orgasm, and I was using energy work, but I wasn't trained or really experienced in the energy work that I was doing. I was getting tons of spiritual downloads constantly. Every time I looked at the clock, I would see 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, 1010, 1111, 1212, every time. So it was just like, constant. I would be in the hotel room giving sensual massages every time I would look up, and I would see the angel numbers. And I felt crazy. I was getting so much messages in the form of animal symbolism, in the form of angel numbers, psychic downloads. And I would stay high too. I would stay high. And I was just constantly channeling energy. And when I was working on my sensual massage clients, I was doing Reiki on them. And especially if they had any type of erectile dysfunction, I would use Reiki to help them release. So that's something that you can do, and that's what I teach. And just, stay tuned. Everybody's been asking about the classes. Just stay tuned, you guys. Be patient with me. We'll open back up soon. Because I know everybody really needs this right now. Like I've been paying attention to what different people are going through, that are in my sphere. And I know that like, I can see like I know that everybody needs this class that hasn't taken it yet. I can see what's going on. The people that are already, using the energy work, like I got something for you guys too, because we're growing within our work. And while we're, releasing these energies from our own bodies and the bodies of our clients and the energy around us, they're having larger global implications. So like everything, it's the butterfly effect. Essentially, it's the butterfly effect. Like everything influences everything else. And for me, what happened was I felt guilty for having orgasms with all my clients. I'm having like 10 orgasms a day, making all the money that I need for me and for my partner. And, like, what can I say? I'm a provider. Like, I like that. And, it's part of my masculine energy. So, and also my feminine energy. I'm a provider on my masculine side and a nurturer on my feminine side. Oh my God, I have a nip slips. I was about to say sorry, you guys, but I should be saying you're welcome, right? So because I felt guilty, and remember, guilt and shame are some of the low vibrational emotions. So they lower our vibration when we feel them. But like that meme says, like, I go to rock bottom on purpose because I understand alchemy. So when you feel those low vibrational emotions, I recommend going all the way into them, and then you can come out the other side and invert them. If you guys are there, leave a comment. I see some people watching on Facebook and YouTube. What up, though? Talk to me. So I felt guilty. I stopped having the orgasms out of loyalty to my partner. What the fuck? What does that have to do with anything? Now, first of all, I do believe that I have fucked up my like serotonin and my dopamine through doing this orgasmic energy work with my clients. Like, it's like, and that's when I had to take time off from the industry. I had to leave the industry for like 2 years to recover, and I'm still recalibrating my sexual energy, but I'm getting stronger with it. So right now I desire to have one partner that I really build things up with, but then I also probably once in a while will want to have sexual experiences with others. So I don't want to just have a strictly monogamous relationship, but I don't necessarily want to have an open relationship either. I feel like a lot of these, like, like, I don't know, I think that people bypass into open relationships, into polygamy, without even being able to master one relationship, and I don't want to be like them. I want to be a good lover. Like, I want to be a great lover. And that starts with being a great lover to myself. And with my orgasm that I had earlier, I really took my time with it. I took my time with myself. I made love with myself. I felt great about it. And I felt an amazing release. And so, especially as a sex worker, doing that for other people, you got to do it for yourself too. It's great. Like, you should definitely be having satisfying sex with other people. And if you're not, and even if you are, then, you can still make love to yourself and make yourself feel really good. And especially with using energy, like orgasmic energy work, you guys, you can shift things in a major way. So, when all hell broke loose, when I stopped having the orgasms with my clients, all hell broke loose. The cops started chasing me. They were tracking my car. They knew every hotel I was going to be at. They were calling me all the time, and it was just really scary. I felt like I was getting stalked. And nothing was working. I was just barely making enough money just to survive. And I had been for a while. Like ever since I started like feeling guilty and stopped having the orgasms, I just completely, my money started shriveling up and drying up. And there's such a thing as currency. Currency is water. Water is the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is the ocean of the body. That's our womb space and our sexual energy, and if it's in our orgasmic energy and the waters of our womb, aka squirt. With a lot of people that deal with bladder incontinence, or you sometimes you just can't hold your pee. It's not pee, it's squirt. You know how a lot of people say like that's not squirt, it's pee. Actually, more often than not, it's not pee, it's squirt. So I'm really a wealth of knowledge at this point because of these life experiences that I've been through, because I learned myself. So this is what I have to share with you guys. And I'm starting to realize it's like actually really selfish for me to hold it in. And I really enjoy being able to support, but I get scared of people liking me too much and being too interested in me, because I feel like you'll find out that something bad about me and then you won't like me anymore. So stupid. It is so stupid. It's like that fear of abandonment, and those fears of being liked and just different like issues that we might have, they show up professionally for us too, not just in our relationships, okay? Because all interactions are relationships, not just romantic ones. So what happened was it just kept getting worse. I wasn't listening to my intuition. I was totally disconnected from my intuition. I had totally burned myself out, and things was just hard. But I had all these life lessons that I needed to go through, and I kept steady turning towards God. I was turning towards Muslim prayer. It was Ramadan. I was fasting. Literally, I would break my fast and have a bean burrito from Taco Bell or something, because I was on the road, and that would be all I would eat. And so most days it would be like that, and then every so often I would go and have like a bigger meal with like some salmon and some greens and just get more vitamins that I needed. But for my fasting, fasting is really intuitive for me. Fasting and prayer are the main components of spiritual safety and spiritual well-being. So you can always turn to those. Fasting isn't for everybody. You shouldn't always fast, but sometimes there's things that you can abstain from and you know what they are. And sometimes the things that you know that you should abstain from, it's hard to abstain from them. So I say don't force it. Just, just wait till you're ready, do what you need to do. Because a lot of times if you force it, you snap right back just like a rubber band. But if you ease into it, then you can come to some happy medium with it. That's why I practice conscious sobriety. It's like not complete sobriety. It's just like using substances in a way that can work for you, for your highest good and your spiritual healing too, because substances can be spiritually healing. So when spirit is really trying to tell us something and try to steer us in a direction, it's going to keep talking to us until we listen. And it's up to us whether we listen to our destiny calling, but destiny is going to keep coming for that ass, trust and believe. And when you set the intention to heal, healing is coming for that ass, whether you like it or not. So you might as well get with the program, and just start now so you don't have to wait. So that's what these 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenges are for, because that gets us in the vibration of where we want to move towards. And things can shift really majorly in these times. You got to be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, and you want to be prepared so that you don't reject it when it comes. So we align our vibration with that which we wish to receive. We act as if it's already happened. And when I first was called to do the 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge was 2014, because I had gone through all this crazy shit. I started to realize that, I had some type of agreement with some energy or entity which I didn't know about, to give my orgasmic energy in exchange for getting money. And when I stopped giving my orgasmic energy, I stopped getting money. But that is just also it's not necessarily always the fact of it being a contract or an agreement. If that's something hard for you to grasp, leave that out of it, but just the fact that like you're stifling and stopping yourself from your energy flowing how it feels most natural and how it feels like it should. So that's not a good thing. That's never a good thing. We want to stay in flow. We want to keep going with our energy and let it flow how it wants to flow. And if you want to bust a nut and be a toxic succubus demon, like, you know, sometimes you need to be toxic. Sometimes I just really need to be toxic. I need to be toxic as fuck. I need to express that and let that out. And I can't be ashamed of that or afraid of that. And so for a lot of us that try to be good people or whatever, our sexual desires have been repressed because we don't want to hurt anybody with them. And we feel that our sexuality is threatening because we've experienced sexual violence from other people. And so we've internalized that sexual energy and sexual expression is dangerous, it is violent, it is abusive, or, you know, things like that. We're just dealing with a lot and untangling a lot within our sex lives, period. And noticing that, like, for some people, like, it's like sex has to have an element of domination, power, and control in order for it to be satisfying. And that might also exist as a power exchange. It's no wonder that people have rape fantasies in a rape culture, you know. And we got to be really careful because there's a lot of dark shit in there within our fantasies. And there's some stuff that if we focus on and let it grow, it could potentially hurt us and other people. So we just want to pour love into it, you know, not more pain. But sometimes pain is pleasure and pain is love sometimes. Just tread lightly, you know, sensitivity is called for. That's why we're going to take this time to just go inward, you know, but while we're going inward, we're still going to be expressing ourselves. Like, I'm going to be showing up with you guys as often as possible. I'm not going to commit to like a everyday thing or something like that, but I'm going to show up with you guys as often as possible. And I'm blocked from going live on Sacred Stripper on Instagram because my content has been flagged as inappropriate. Which is interesting because I'm in the changeover of where I honestly, like, it's just been a huge responsibility for me to be the face of this movement of hoesarehealers, and I'm up for the challenge and up for the responsibility, and I like the opportunity to be visible as an Arab Muslim Palestinian person because we don't get enough visibility, especially when it comes to talking about sexuality and sexual health. It's very rare for people from our communities to talk about these things, and part of my privilege as a person that speaks English, that was raised in the United States, born and raised in the United States with U.S. citizenship, is that, you know, like, I have the privilege of having these conversations and showing up to talk about them. So I will. And, you know, like, I want to make a whole nother video talking about the word hoe because that has been like a huge source of controversy. And we had a whole like long drawn out conversation about it on this page because some people had, you know, some people had took issues around that use of that language. So like, I speak English. I don't know what to tell y'all, but hoe means sharmuta in Arabic. So in case that helps. I think that there's sometimes as creators, things are bigger than us that we don't really know. Like, we don't have the monopoly on what we're creating. We're not just creating it just for ourselves. We're creating it because it meets a collective need. And you really can't judge your creations, you know. And sometimes when some stuff comes through you, it's because it's what's needed. And it's needed for the people that you're creating it for. So we want to look beyond skin deep, beyond surface appearances. Just being able to openly like discuss our experiences leads us to more spiritual safety, because when we can bring what's unconscious into the consciousness, then it's not unconscious anymore. It can be looked at, it can be examined. But there's a lot of stuff that, like, you can't examine it without a certain level of comfort and safety and stability. So what happens is that you might be in survival mode for so long, but then once you get into some comfort and support and stability, all that stuff starts coming up. all that stuff starts coming up. So with the 40 days and 40 nights spiritual detox challenge, we're starting it on 8/8. And yeah, all the stuff is going to start coming up. And if you want to be part of a supportive community, then join the Heaven on Earth app. It's a supportive spiritual community for sex workers and survivors. And you can download the detox guide free. And you can download the screening guide free. Like, we have all different types of resources for you guys on there. And then you can join up with other people who are also detoxing, because we're doing this for 40 days and 40 nights. And it's not important that you do everything that you set out to do every day. Like, you might say, like, I want to film a YouTube video every day, or I want to do yoga every day, or I want to drink a green smoothie every day or something. And then you end up 2 weeks in and you only did that shit 3 times and you feel like shit. Okay, it's not for you to feel like shit. It's for you to challenge yourself and for you to let things come up. And you give yourself 40 days and 40 nights because that's a long enough time for a lot of stuff to come up and really shift for you. And it's really time for us to do that, because a lot of us are going from one life into another life. We're doing a whole death and rebirth cycle, and I'm a specialist at supporting you with this. So I just sort of realized, like, I'm really ready to go hard with this work, and there's no time like the present. There's no time like the present. I needed to take the last few months off. I'm really grateful that I had some amazing sex work clients and sensual massage clients that paid my bills and enabled me to support myself the past few months and get the things that I needed to get for me. And I don't give a fuck. Like, I really don't give a fuck. Like, you got to make the decisions that you make for you. Other people don't have to understand them, and they're not going to. Because one of the things that's crazy about being a sex worker is, like, people will try to make you feel like they love and accept you, but really they just want to use you. Because they feel like, oh, this bitch has money, or she has, whatever, she has time, or whatever. She has energy. No. So we're, throughout this 40 days and 40 nights, we're calling all that energy back to ourselves. We're infusing our intentions with that energy. And we're doing it as a group together, and nobody gets left behind. In our community, nobody gets left behind. We are bodhisattvas. So we ascend to heaven, and then we reach back for everybody else. We go back down to earth and bring others back up to heaven with us. And we bring heaven down to earth. It's a flow, it's what we do. It's so good. It's so good. So I'm working on a one-on-one coaching thing where I'm gonna be there with you every day, holding your hand. You have complete access to me to support you, and it's exciting because it's like opening up your throat chakra and asking for what you need, and allowing reciprocal support. Because what I'm leading us into is a revolution in the concept of work, where you don't have a job, you have a sacred role. Your sacred role is a priestess and healer, and people come to worship you, and they have come to worship you. And it's because you have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that is admirable to them. And you are an oracle and a seer, and you can provide reflections and divinations and affirmations to them. So that helps people move forward within their lives. I'm a sex goddess in my private life, and I love it that way. Love it. Let yourself be yourself. A lot of people are drawn to sex work because under capitalism, that's the allowance for sexual freedom, is I have to get paid for it. Especially those who have trauma around attachment and early childhood relationships, So I want us to have as many options as possible to do what we want to do with our lives. So I've got openings for mini consultations, mini sessions for you guys so you can check in with me. I just decided to do that real quick, like open up some space. And actually, I'm going to add the energy sessions where I'll teach you guys how to eliminate the contracts. This affects a lot of people financially, especially healers. This was Chiron Armand is the one who taught me these techniques, and he told me that I could teach others too. So, he taught these techniques to me for a low cost of $88. So I'll teach these techniques to you guys for a low cost of $88 too. And I'm going to add those as soon as we get off this call. I also have the mini sessions for 55, and those are ones where we can talk about anything that you want to talk about. I have the gift of gab. I'm a Gemini. My air energy brings a lot of movement to situations, so even just talking something through with me gets a lot of clarity and a lot of movement, a lot of things going for things that you have going on. I'm not a licensed therapist, you guys. I'm not a counselor. I'm a spiritual therapist. I'm a Reiki therapist. So I don't have a background in mental health, except for my own mental health, being hospitalized in mental hospitals and pathologized for my spiritual gifts and my fuck the system attitude that I've had since I was a kid. So we make our own expertise. And a lot of people have told me that they would rather talk to me than talk to a therapist because they trust me more and I can relate more to what they go through. So that's why I wanted to, everybody always tells me that I need to raise my rates, and I raised my rates pretty high. So then people started telling me I needed to lower them. But I can't, because that's what the work is. So these services that I'm offering, it's a different work. It's a different energy exchange and a different energy investment. I'm not doing Reiki sessions at the moment. I'm just doing these consultations and these coaching sessions. And I'm getting ready to do some personal, one-on-one coaching, because I really want to give you guys I want to set you guys up for success, rather than just doing a one-off mentoring session. I want to support you throughout the whole 40 days and 40 nights of this transformative journey that we're going to take together. So there's different ways that you can get involved. You can join the app and get the guide for free, and be involved that way and plug into the community. That's step one. You can do, if you think you want to work with me, if you want to, you're not sure, or if you want to check in with me, if we've already worked together, you just want to check in, or if you want to see if more long-term coaching is for you, then do a mini consultation check-in with me. And if you already have been studying energy healing and spiritual healing, especially with me, and you want to learn how to clear these contracts, these old outdated contracts, then do that abundance clearing, contract clearing energy session with me. That's not actually a Reiki session. It's a guided healing tutorial session. So I am on my grind, you guys. I have a goal. I have a financial goal that I have to meet. I have to move. I'm getting ready to move. I really want my own place. I want my own place so that I can just be free to work all the time. I love my work. I'm really passionate about my work. And for my inner child healing and my financial healing, I need my own place. But I've really loved it here. Being here has been so healing. The first time I signed a year lease in a long time, I struggle with that stability. It's Palestinian problems. It's, it's runaway problems. It's always I grew up always wanting to run away, but not ever having anywhere to go. So when I got older and I really could run away, that's just what I kept doing. That's why I've lived all over Turtle Islands, and I've been all over Turtle Islands. I love traveling. That's part of my DNA. And I'm really ready to root down and have a home base. This experience of being here after doing van life has really shown me the importance and the comfort of having a home base. So now I'm working to establish, a home base in New Orleans, and also I'm supporting other people in my network in establishing their home bases where they want to be. And we have a network where we can travel to one another. So that's really important to me. And that's a community that you can plug into. Like a lot of the people that I'm close with, and that are in my network, they're other Reiki healers. They're other spiritual healers and sex workers too. But not everybody, like, you know, all are welcome. Allies are welcome on the Heaven on Earth app. You don't have to be a sex worker, and you don't have to out yourself as a sex worker either to join. So there's just like so much more I have to tell you guys, but I'm going to end it here. And I'm going to keep going live with you guys as often as possible. I think this is a really good opportunity since I'm blocked from going live on Sacred Stripper. I think it's a really good opportunity for me to just like share with the Hoesarehealers audience just tons of the framework behind what I do and what we do here. Because like I have like, you know, so many basically disciples of people that I've trained in my healing techniques, and then they combine their healing techniques with it, and we share in this energy healing together. We share information with each other, and it makes us all stronger healers. So this is very needed on Earth right now because people have been surviving, you know they can survive, they're ready to thrive, they're ready to drop the baggage and the weight of generational trauma and ancestral wounds, and like, you know, really enjoy heaven on earth, utopia on earth. And that's why we call what we do heaven on earth. And it's so much bigger than simply, you know, my business or something like that. That's why it was very important to separate out heaven on earth as a brand from Sacred Stripper as a brand. Sacred Stripper as a brand is much more of a lifestyle brand, and it's much more having to do with just personal sexual energy. Whereas Heaven on Earth, you know, it's like it's the place where we protect our personal sexual energy. There's things that we need for that to be protected, and one of those things is community support and coming together as a community to protect our collective and personal sovereignty and sexual freedom. I'm going to end it there. I love y'all so much. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, healers. Check out sacredstripper.com and heavenonearthreiki.org for more. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Peace. Signing off. Sacred Stripper signing off.